Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
really. So I mean, lots has been happening. I could say that what's been happening in Palestine has been,
I've had my eye on
you
it. Don't
know,
worry. Close,
yeah, I know you
close eye
do.
on it. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I know it's not the first time you have, so
Yeah.
um
Yeah. It's not.
yeah, it's been it's been isolating. I guess like it's been a lot of things over the time that it's been happening since the beginning of October.
Mm,
Um and I'd say now I'm feeling different about it. But I'm really curious about like how to include this experience because my um I guess what I feel like I haven't heard a lot um or seen a lot around. There's like a lot of spiritual bypassy stuff that like,
mm,
you know,
mm,
I can imagine related to like, well, how do I deal, how do I like obviously I'm not in Palestine. It's not happening to me, but
mm,
when I look at the videos and Palestine, I have Palestinians who are my very close friends or,
mm,
have been growing up and
mm,
um it um Israel still occupies parts of Syria, a big part of Syria, where my
mm,
dad is from and where my family's from, half of my family's from. And so part of what is, I guess, the hardest about it is watching like the silence in the face of oppression and um, these powers that be, it's just sort of like there's a pain that I feel. Um, and there's like so much, there's like grief and anger, which I don't, um, it's not like in this moment, it's not debilitating. It's actually really helping me
mm,
to do things
mm,
about it,
mm,
to support people who need it.
mm,
Like I've been fundraising. We fundraised like a grief and anger circle for Palestine for like Palestinian students locally in town. It's starting this Saturday. Me and a colleague are facilitating it. So I feel like there's so much meaning and so much heart. Like more, I feel more alive.
mm.
I haven't said that yet, but that's actually what it feels like.
Yeah. So this that you're feeling is what
Mhm.
you should be feeling. It's what you should be feeling. If you didn't have a heart, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
So,
you're right.
you know,
Yeah, my heart feels like, yeah, it's like I feel my heart. I
mm,
feel more than I've ever felt, it feels like.
well,
Um,
that's great.
like
That's
I knew
fucking
you.
great.
Yeah, it is.
Because that I
Mhm.
get that 100%. I totally understand that. Because
Yeah,
so too do I.
yeah,
And I know people don't get that, and they don't, you know. And I know they don't, and there's nothing I can do about it. Because
yeah.
you mentioned the right word earlier,
Mm.
bypass, spiritual bypass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the reality in the final analysis, final analysis, Dania, where we are is here, feeling, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, emotions, heart, love. can only happen here.
Yeah.
It can't happen in here. This makes up
Yeah.
stories about it, right? But
Totally.
this, good. But this
Yeah.
cannot feel this.
Yes.
Good. So if you're feeling it, you're on the right track. Perfect. Feel it. Yeah. Just continue. Don't doubt yourself. Yeah. Don't doubt yourself. Yeah. I'm not saying you are. I'm just affirming. Don't doubt. Don't doubt yourself. And just fucking continue to be the angel that you are. Oh.
It really touches me.
Because you are. You are. You are. You know,
So are you.
I'm watching. I too am watching. You know, I am aware of what's happening, you know, and the difference is I don't view it, what's happening, from the perspective of my mind. I know that might sound odd, but I view it from life being extinguished. What are we up to? 14,000?
Yeah.
I think. 14 being
better known.
Being extinguished. That's what I feel for.
Yeah.
Totally. It's not the story I have about that, or the story I have about those poor people. Like you know, yes, there's a story there that goes on. But what I actually connect with is my heart, my aliveness, my life. To witnessing lives being extinguished. You know? And we could say, and it would be true. Okay. We could say that God's doing all of that. And it would be true. It would be true. But God is also feeling what you and I are feeling right now. And that too is true.
Right.
It's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Because what I'm
multifaceted.
struggling with is to see God in Netanyahu. You know what I mean? And yet I know.
Well, no, hold on. God is not in Netanyahu.
Right.
God is the life force of Netanyahu.
Right.
But God is not this Netanyahu.
Right. The personality. Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
That's not 100% true. I mean,
because clearly there's suffering in that man, or there's something that's unresolved to cause such an intense level of harm.
Yeah.
You know, harm begets harm.
It can be, look, everything ends up becoming so fucking paradoxical, Daniel. Everything's a paradox. Yeah. And then it's finding the truth in the paradoxes, just the truth. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, like if let's take just for example. Just for example, Let's take poor old Judas. Poor old Judas. He was the sacrificial lamb. Judas. Because God knew exactly what was going to happen. Knew exactly what was going to happen. Judas ends up being the sacrifice, and the whole world hates Judas. Yeah. So, what Judas did had to happen. For the rest to unfold the way it did. And God is the all-knowing. The all-knowing. Yeah. So God knew exactly what was happening and what was going to happen, and so on and so forth. Now we can apply that. We can apply exactly that to what's happening now with Palestine and Israel and Netanyahu. And Netanyahu. Yeah. He is going to be the Judas.
Right.
Yeah. But God knows that that's what was going to happen. So we are yet to see the outcome of why this is happening. We know why it's happening.
Right,
fuck,
right,
we know
right.
why it's happening. Yeah, you don't
Right,
be
right.
fucking dumb or stupid or have your head in the fucking sand or
Yeah,
to not
totally.
know why it's happening, right?
Right, right.
But the final outcome we don't know yet.
Totally.
We don't know,
We don't know.
and it will
We
have an
don't know.
outcome. It will have an
Yeah,
outcome,
yeah.
and
And even I
perhaps
notice that there's thoughts about what this, like, I notice the mind trying to make meaning, especially like sometimes there's like a desire for hope.
yeah.
So then there's thoughts about, what the outcome could be.
Yeah.
There's thoughts about that.
Yeah.
And so then it's like,
multiply that by 8 billion.
right.
Think about that.
Right, right.
All the different thoughts, 8 billion different heads, right? Or 8 billion different thoughts about what's happening, what could be happening. And
yeah,
all of those thoughts, as
yeah,
you are well aware, are just
yeah.
happening.
Right.
Good.
That's
So
right.
it's good. So it's all God's thoughts anyway.
Right.
We can't say,
Right.
look, it would be crazy to say thoughts just happen and there's no cause.
Right.
That's fucking crazy because there's an
Right.
intelligence behind even our
Yes.
thoughts, even though sometimes our thoughts can be fucking wacko, right?
Yeah.
They can, yeah. But
Totally, yeah, totally.
But there's still an intelligence behind our thoughts. And the thoughts just happen, remember?
Yep.
So there's an intelligence behind the thoughts. So it's not, thoughts just don't appear from nothing or out of nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we could give that source of that intelligence a few different names: consciousness, awareness, intelligence, energy. Here comes the big one: God, non-dual, one without a second. That's another label. Non-duality, one without a second. It's not just another word for God. Yeah. All-knowing, all-being, all, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. So if you can start to see, which I know you can to a great degree with yourself, although we can get caught up in it when we're emotionally seeing fucking this horrible stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
You can get caught up in it,
Totally.
But there's a plan behind all of this.
Yeah.
And it's God's plan.
Yeah.
God is doing all of this. Every thought that Netanyahu has is God's thoughts.
Yeah. Right.
It is. Like, if you can absolutely see for yourself that all of your thoughts, Dania, just happen, and we can test that, because I could just say, look, if you ever think, stop it.
Yeah.
Then we discover, holy fuck, we can't.
Yeah.
Just, no matter what we do.
I know.
And you're the job that you're in, at best, what you're trying to do is just change the thoughts.
That's right.
You're just trying to create a new story for the person or a different perspective.
That's really it. That's really it. Yeah.
And you can have some level of success with that. If you weren't getting any success with that, you wouldn't do your job.
Totally.
You just wouldn't do it.
Totally.
So you can have some level of success with that.
Yeah.
But the reality is, everything that's going on the planet right now, Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, right, like everything, China, like
Congo, Sudan, all
it's
of it.
hot, man, what's happening globally. That's globally. Why people are kind of hanging on and going, is this the beginning of World War III? Is it good?
Totally. Totally.
And the reality is, once you know that your thoughts just happen, you know that that's true for every other human being on the planet as well. Now, once you know that the source of your thoughts is one intelligence, one God, once you know that, which it's not a big leap. Once you know you're not the thinker, that you realize there's an intelligence behind thoughts, I'm not the thinker. So there's, where are they coming from?
Right.
They're coming. It's got to come from. It's got to come from the one, because it's only the one Now this,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's only the one, Tanya, that can create two.
Right. I remember you saying that. That's right. That is right.
Yeah, it's
because
only
what else could?
What else could?
Right.
You can't say two creates two, because then you'd have to say, well, who
No.
created the first two?
That's right.
It's got to be one that creates the two.
Right.
Yeah. Or and when I say two, I also mean 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, infinity.
That's right. It's
numbers.
It's like when you talk about like the Big Bang, and then it's like, well, what created that?
Yeah.
And then what created that? And then what created that?
Well, that's just infinite regression. And if you go down the path of infinite regression, that we wouldn't be sitting here.
That's right.
It's like, imagine you've seen those people that set up dominoes and then they topple the first one and they go
goes,
right.
I love that. Yeah.
Right. If that first one didn't go
right,
the last one and all the ones between it would still just be left standing. If the first one didn't go, yeah. So now, for the first one to go, it's got to be a causeless. Because if it wasn't, there'd be another domino before it. That's right. That this first one would be dependent upon to go tick.
Right.
And then you go, okay, well, okay, this is what created God, who created that God, and then what created that God, and that's called infinite regression. Yeah.
Right.
Now, if you really look at that, if you philosophically, if you just look at that, this infinite regression model, it's brilliant because at some point, we have to get to something that's causeless, that always is, that had no beginning, is independent, and requires nothing for its existence, just always is and always has been. Now try and get a dualistic thought around that. You just kind of go, but
can't even understand that.
But if you use the infinite regression model, right?
Yeah.
See, let's take the end domino is God created us. Okay. And then someone goes, oh yeah, but who created God? Well, that'd be the domino before the end, the last domino, right?
Right.
You go, okay, well, who created that God? Well, that would be another domino, and that would go on for infinity. Now, if it went on for infinity, this last domino would never happen. Got to see this. This last domino,
the last one,
the last one would never topple because it's dependent on the one before that, and the one before that, and the one times infinity. So we would never be sitting here.
So when did it start?
Correct. So the only way it can start is it has to be a causeless cause. It has to be something that always is independent, not reliant on anything, not reliant on another God to create it. Yeah? No beginning, no end. All powerful, all knowing, all everywhere, one. Sometimes referred to as God. Yeah? So if you can really get your head around this infinite regression model, it'll help you to understand that everything is happening today, around the world, and today, and for yourself and your family and every other person on the planet. Yeah, the cause of it is the one.
Right.
Because there's not this causeless cause with an infinite number of dominoes after it. It's just the causeless cause now. It's only if we use dualistic thinking and go, okay, there's a God.
Right.
What created God? Then we have to stick another domino there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, who created that God? Well, now we've got to stick another domino there. And who created that God? If we use that model,
that mind,
then we wouldn't be sitting here. Because the cause of us being able to sit here would have been an infinite domino away. Infinite. No end, no begin, just no end. So, and this last domino would, right, for us to be sitting here would be dependent upon
all those other,
but it's infinite. Tick, 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 tick. This is dependent on that, all just forever. So we would never be sitting here until we reached a point where we reach something, that's necessary. That's not contingent, not dependent upon anything, not dependent upon anything. Yeah.
Right.
That's what brings this into existence now.
Right.
And that's the one. Yeah. See.
So now there's a thought that's popping up that's like, well, if the sun exploded or something happened, like we need oxygen to breathe, like, you know, the science thoughts, right? Of like, you know, like the planet Earth had to be just at this right temperature in this right situation for life to be able to happen.
You're talking about fine tuning.
Right.
You're talking about fine tuning.
Right.
It's so perfect.
Yeah.
Fine tuning. Jesus Christ. Just look at the DNA coding for the human body. Fuck.
Yeah.
What coded that?
Right.
What the fuck code? The intelligence behind. Only recently we mapped it.
That's right.
Relatively.
Yeah.
Fairly recently. We mapped it.
Yeah.
We finally mapped it. You know, and that's just a human body. What about the fucking whole universe?
Yeah. Yeah.
What about the whole universe? So that's why you'll hear people say, you know, you want me to give you evidence of God? Just fucking look around. Look around.
Yeah.
Which is where you were going. The fine tuning. The fine tuning. Everything just has to be perfectly the way it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I only need one tiny little decimal point to be out or added, or one number to be added, or take one.
Right. That it would just screw it all up. Yeah.
Wouldn't be here. One number.
Right.
And then we go.
So from that.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, from that place or from that understanding, because there are thoughts, so there's like, you know, that, and then there's activism where it's like, how can I accept colonialism and oppression and imperialism? And like, I don't accept that, or I don't know if that's the right word. Like, I want to be part of the change to break that down, like there's this impulse in me that seems alive and present, and it seems to be alive and present in a lot of people, and it seems to be happening more and more and more. That there, especially amongst young people, that there's this like, we don't want these systems that abuse power and that harm the masses. You know?
Yes, that's God.
Right.
Changing the status quo.
Right. Right. Wow.
Imagine this, right? There's 100 people on the planet.
Right.
Okay? And they're the only 100 people that are environmentalists. What could they get done?
Right. It's true.
Fuck all. They couldn't
That's true.
They'd be fucking yelling.
It's true.
They couldn't get anything done. But what happens?
So true.
Dude, what happens? That 100 turns into 200, turns into 100,000, turns into 200,000, turns into a million. Once that number gets big enough, which is God creating those numbers, once that number gets big enough, change starts to happen. Which is exactly what you were describing with young people. They're becoming more conscious, more aware. No, this isn't okay, and that's all God. That's all, because they're all thoughts.
Right.
They're all thoughts, honey.
Which is so interesting, because it's like they're thoughts, so they're having an impact.
Definitely.
And so then it's like, so what's the difference between thoughts and consciousness?
Consciousness is another word for God. Don't think otherwise.
Okay.
Because there is only that.
Right.
It just gets given different names, honey.
Right.
My teacher won't call it God. He'll call it an intelligence energy.
I like that.
Okay, yeah, that's great. An intelligence energy, he calls it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some people call it God. Some people call it consciousness. Some people call it awareness. You know, and even me, you know, when I'm trying to walk people through this understanding, you know, sometimes I'll separate out consciousness from awareness. Sometimes I will do that, but I know I'm doing it.
Right.
There's a method to my madness. To eventually, what happens is this idea of there being consciousness and awareness, it merges. The whole thing just merges, including the me's and the thoughts. In the end, it all just merges. And then everything then, consciousness, awareness, thoughts, a feeling, a body, an emotion, all of it is one.
Yeah.
But because I'm using dualistic language and I know that I'm having to deal with thoughts,
that's right.
I've got to try and be clever and seemingly separate it out, to get people a bit closer, closer to what's actually happening, you know. Like you've heard me say, and this is so important. You've heard me say, I know you have. What are things dependent upon? What's that?
Things are dependent on space.
Good. So it's good. Right? Yeah. But we don't notice space. We just notice the things. We're not interested in the space. All we're interested in, which is amazing, because if you remove the space, there can be no things.
Right. This is landing in deeper.
If you remove the space, so space is far more primary than the thing. The thing is dependent upon space. The space is not dependent on the thing. For the thing to exist, there must be space first.
Right.
Because if you remove the space, what's the thing going to exist in? It can't exist in anything. No space. Yeah. So that's important to see. Yeah. The reason that's important to see is because
I have a couple minutes left, just FYI. Yeah.
You have.
Well, our session is in 7 minutes, but I could.
You got to get ready. Yeah. Okay. And then I say, okay, what is space dependent upon? Consciousness. Because in the absence of consciousness, now there's no space and no things. You know that from your own direct experience. Intuitively, you know that to be true.
Yeah, totally.
Good.
Then because if there was no consciousness, it's like nothing would be.
Nothing there. Nothing.
Noticed.
No space, no thing, nothing. Gone. Yeah. And then, so where we live as a person, I'll be quick. Where we live as a person is being conscious of things.
That's right.
Feeling a thought, a body,
the thing.
Pancreas, your pink cup, right? Conscious of. That's where we live. And where I'm trying to get people to is like, okay, things are dependent on space. What's space dependent upon? Consciousness. What's consciousness dependent upon?
I don't know.
Well, here's what I do.
Being alive?
Here's what I do. What I say is consciousness is dependent upon awareness. Now, this is me. Note. This is me separating, seemingly separating four things out. Things, space, consciousness, and awareness. None of that's true, actually. Okay? None of it's true. So it's a technique. Do you understand? Yeah. But the reason I do that is because I'm trying to get the person to go from being conscious of things to being aware of consciousness. Only. only. An
Right.
amazing,
That makes
yeah,
that's so helpful, Terry. Wow.
yeah. And
Yeah.
an amazing thing
Huh.
happens when you do that.
Yeah.
When you can actually, like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, now it might sound a bit strange. Now we're only interested
Yeah.
in one thing.
Yeah.
Instead of the myriad of things we're conscious of
Right.
throughout the course of the day, all the feelings, all the thoughts, all the people, all the this,
That's
the that,
right. That's right. That's
myriad
right.
of things, right? So it goes
That's
from
right.
that to just being
Mhm.
one thing. Now it's consciousness. Yeah. And an interesting thing happens when you can reside there and only be interested in that. Yeah. Remember I said awareness of consciousness? It's a trick. Because what
Right.
actually happens when you reside there, the awareness and the conscious become one. So there was never awareness and consciousness. Ever.
So it's not like, so it's, yeah, so you said it, so it's like, oh, not aware of, but actually aware.
You know you are conscious, right?
Yeah.
Abide there. And we find it difficult because we want to live, we'd be used to living in a state of being conscious of.
Out there. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you got to go.
Yeah. Thank you, Terry. That was so potent and direct.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
I would love to have spent more time with you, but you've got to work.
Yeah,
Let's do this
okay.
again.
We can meet again. I would love to do that.
Soon.
I would love to do it
So we
soon.
can, yeah, so we can just
deepen. We
yeah,
could just,
because you're in a
I
different
would
place
love
now.
that.
You're in a different
I
place now.
am.
Yeah.
And it feels like ripe.
And it's fucking great what you're
Yeah.
feeling.
Wow.
There's nothing wrong
Thank you,
with what you're
Terry.
feeling.
Thank you,
There's
Terry.
nothing wrong with what you're feeling because it's only you that can feel. And I'm not talking to the character when I say that. You.
And drink from here. Thank you.
You're okay. Come on.
Appreciate
Beautiful,
you so
in
much.
fact. Beautiful. You're the beautiful part of God that's coming through. You're God expressing. You are the beautiful. And as you know, God can express as Hitler if he wants to. It doesn't seem so fucking beautiful.
That's so true.
But it's all a plan. Remember I talked about Judas? He was the sacrificial lamb because all Christians on the planet hate Judas. But he had to do what he did for the whole thing to
happen.
Apparently happened, by the way. I don't believe it did happen, but anyway. We can talk about that another time.
Yeah, totally. I appreciate you.
Love you.
Love you.